SaWGuY podcast.
Like scary movie? What's your favorite scary movie?
Here's Johnny.
We'll tear your soul apart.
The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Game over, man. Game over.
What do you want?
I want to hear you scream. From the third time, bitch.
Have your voice be heard.
I purged.
I purged.
I purged.
I purged.
Welcome to the SaWGuy podcast. As always, I'm the SaWGuy, and damn, it feels good to be back in that saddle. I know I didn't have a new episode like for the last few weeks, but you know, I wanted to throw out a little bit of behind the scenes. I want to hype up this episode, which is episode 26 on the Purge. I had to bring this one up because originally I wanted to do this one for 4th of July, but I was like, you know, with the way politics are, I'm not a politic guy. I don't like to get in the middle of it. So that's why I'm like, but finally I was like, fuck it. It's too good of a franchise. I have to do it, right? Hope you all enjoyed the teaser trailer. I know it was kind of very, not as crazy I could make it, but you know, it did the job, right? But anyways, like I said, you're joining me for episode 26 on The Purge. And whenever, when I think of The Purge, I think of, honestly, like, so many open ideas in this little umbrella idea. You know what I mean? With that in mind, The Purge, basically, the whole franchise, there's 4 movies, and soon to be a TV show, so technically 5 different venues you could watch it at. It came out in 2013, and most of it, actually all of it except the last film, the first Purge, so 3 movies and the TV show, was all written by a guy by the name of James D. Can't even say his name. James D. Monaco. Did I say it right? I might have fucked up. If I fucked up, let me know in the comments below, like always, you know, because I do tend to fuck up sometimes, right? But anyways, James D. Monaco, he came up with this idea of making that, you know, for 12 hours, what if everything was legal, you know? So, vandalism, murder, and all this other shit, rioting, that'd be all legal. But what's funny is how he got the idea. Long story short, I did my research, Purge research, like I always do, you know. He basically said that he had a road rage incident where he was driving on the freeway. Some guy who was on the opposite lane came on, almost hit him head on, ended up being a drunk driver. And supposedly, his story is that, you know, he came out, he was got in a scuffle with this guy, the cops had to break it up, and then his wife, of all people, had said, man, what if there was a way that you can have, like, one person taken out, you know, out of the year? Or something along the lines. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's how he got the ideas, because his wife had a crazy thought, you know? For me, when I hear that, I'm going to say it straight out, you know, hey, I salute all you women. You guys have, you know, great ideas and everything. And if the SaWGuy ever pisses you off, let me know, please. You know, all joking aside, he got the idea from that, right? And he wrote the story. And originally, he wrote the whole story of, basically, of the Purge happening and a bunch of other stories going along at once. Similar to Purge Anarchy. But when he basically presented the idea to Blumhouse, or one of the production companies, everybody had basically almost turned it down. And then I think it was Blumhouse that gave him the green light to do it. And they said, okay, well, let's go ahead and do it on a $2.7 million budget, and you have about 20 days to shoot it. So, obviously, with that kind of cash strap, most of it had to go to pay the actors, obviously, but with that kind of cash strap, he basically had to change the idea of how he wanted, like, all the chaos around the town to be centralized in one area. And, you know, so like I do in every episode, I'm going to break down all the movies. I'm not going to talk for hours like I normally do on one movie, since I got like 4 plus the TV series. But I'll go pretty quick. So the first Purge movie came out in 2013, and it starred Ethan Hawke. And during this time, Ethan Hawke, he signed a 2-picture deal with Blumhouse, and it was basically a what was it? I don't know. There was a name for the contract, but I can't remember it on the top of my head right now, you know. But he signed a 2-movie agreement, And the first movie was Sinister. It came out the same year. I don't know if it came out before The Purge or after The Purge. The second one that he did was obviously the first Purge, you know? Not the movie, but the actual Purge, 2013 when it came out, right? And it was a great fucking story. Let me tell you, the whole movie, I'm going to break it down like this. The whole movie, it goes down where it's basically a home invasion. You have to deal with, you know, people trying to break into the house. There's chaos outside. They don't explain much of the Purge, which makes it like that much scarier, you know? The whole movie follows Ethan Hawke. He's kind of like a rich business, wealthy guy. He makes security systems to protect your homes in case of the Purge because of people rioting, breaking your shit and all that, right? He comes home and it's the Purge. The first Purge actually explains a little bit about it, like 6 sirens. If you hear the 6 sirens, that means it's starting. You hear 7 sirens, that means it's ending. And they always did the Purge at March 21st. And I thought it was a cool little wink because James D. Monaco, he came out with this idea of doing it March 21st because it symbolizes March 3, and then 21st 2 1, right? I know. I was like, what the fuck? That's brilliant. Mind blown, right? Anyways, back to the movie. So the whole movie comes down to where he's getting off of work. The Purge is going to start. His house is super bolted and secure and shit. And, you know, they have dinner. Everything's all secured. Well, he has a wife and he has 2 daughters. And one of the daughters, she has a boyfriend. And, you know, she's kind of sneaking around this boyfriend, you know, teenage things. It's not like how we grew up in the 80s, right? But she sneaks him in before the Purge starts. So anyways, the Purge goes down. You hear the 6 sirens. Everything shuts down, right? Everything's quiet. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's a guy that's running from this gang. And the boy, I don't know, I can't remember if it was the boy or if, yeah, I think it was the boyfriend. He felt bad for the guy, so he opened the gate and let the guy come in and shut it. So the gang, they knew that the guy went in the house. And while that had happened, Ethan Hawke was like, what the fuck happened? You know, this is my house. I have control of everything. Goes and sees it that it was the boyfriend that did that. And then basically the boyfriend tried to kill the dad. And the dad, Ethan Hawke, got pissed and ended up killing the boyfriend. While that whole mess is going on, you see the most iconic scene out of the whole franchise.
Here's the plan, Sandins. You have until our provisions arrive, provisions which will help us break into your elegant home. If you don't deliver him by the aforementioned time, we'll release the beast on him and on you. And we can enter any home we want. And we will want. Don't force us to hurt you. We don't want to kill our own. Please just let us purge.
This group of vigilantes, they came up, right? I forgot what they called them. They called them the Freaks, I think, or the Followers. I don't know. I have so much notes that I wrote on it. Like, I don't bullshit. No rookie, but I have to make sure that all my shit is all ready to go. You know? But anyways, I think they were called the Freaks. And so they came up and they basically were trying to be respectful. They were a bunch of these rich kids. They were kind of in a gang. And they would wear masks similar to mine. Well, one of them, he took his mask off. And he started talking to the camera on the little door thing. And he was basically telling him, hey, we know who you are, Mr. Sandin, which is the name of the family, his last name. We just want the guy, and after that, you know, we'll be on our way. Well, Ethan Hawke was originally going to give him the guy, and then he was like, no, it wouldn't be right, you know, because it played off that whole emotion of, you know, morals. Is it good? Is it not good to do? So anyways, they show the iconic scene where he was like, there's your last chance, and they open up a little pee hole, you know? And you see one of the guy's buddies is like, just give us the fucking guy. And then boom, whoa, what the hell, you know? And then he basically said, okay, if you don't give us the guy, we're going to tear the fuck out of your house, and we're going to come in and get him. And that's basically what happened. So the whole movie plays on the fact that it builds up all that anxiety. Like, oh shit, are they actually going to get in? Oh shit, they broke through the window. Or, oh shit, they did this, you know? And that's what was great about it, because this film was so damn good for being a home invasion film, but, you know, The Purge was kind of a subplot, that they made other movies off of this, you know, like Don't Breathe. That's more of a recent example of it, you know, a home invasion, shit gone wrong. And that's basically what this one was. And so when this movie continued, they basically pull everything out, the freaks they get in, and eventually, you know, shit goes crazy. They try to kill everybody. Ethan Hawke, he goes crazy with a shotgun. Boom, boom, trying to defend himself. And you got to remember, in The Purge, everything's legal. And what's funny is on the siren, they tell you what you can use and what you can't use. They have like a class level system. And then in the story, the class level system's like you can use whatever firearms, but you can't use grenade launchers and stuff like that. That's apparently illegal. And you can't kill government officials. But everything else is all legal. And then no EMS, no fire, no police. Everything is gone for 12 hours while the purge is happening, right? So this was really cool for 2013 because there hasn't never been a film like this before. Ever, right? So anyways, back to the story. Ethan Hawke goes crazy. Kills everybody. And then you see the main freak. God, I don't think they ever said his name. But he's the rich kid that you see that he talks and he says, just let us purge. You know? So you see him. And he basically, after Ethan Hawke has his fun, you know, protecting himself or whatever, you know, he comes out, shanks him, and basically says, okay, your soul's been cleansed. And then later on, they find the rest of the family members. And then the neighbors get involved. And then the neighbors are basically like, okay, well, purge is still going on. Fuck it. I'm jealous of you. I'm going to purge, you know. Then eventually, the guy who they saved, he ends up saving the rest of the Sandin family, Ethan Hawke's wife and his kids, by killing the neighbors and everything like that. After everything all had went down, then basically they were just like, okay, we're all going to be civilized. We're going to sit at the table. And then the ending was great where the neighbor lady, she tried to grab the shotgun and she just bashed her right in the fucking face. And they left it open-ended. And it was really great, you know, because the whole first film plays off of, you know, no matter how protected you are, no matter how well secured you are, no matter what kind of weaponry you have, if somebody really wants to break into your house and gets to you, they're going to get to you, you know? And that's the scary shit about it. You know, and that's what made this first film really great. What do you guys think about the first one? Let me know in the comments below, because I know everyone gives me shit and they said, oh, that's not The Purge. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I mean, just because it wasn't the main plot in it, you know, it was a subplot, basically, you know? So then, next year, in 2014, they made a sequel to it. Obviously, Ethan Hawke didn't want to come back. He filled his, you know, 2-movie agreement with them and got his fair share. So, with this one, they called it Purge Anarchy. And this whole thing was going to be the original idea of what James DeMonico wanted to do. He wanted to basically follow the city, and follow the city that's basically going through the Purge. And it follows, it's very Quentin Tarantino-like, you know? So you start off with one family, their car breaks down, these bikers are following them. Then it falls into this single mom, and her dad, he's died of cancer. And he basically sells himself to these rich people, and after the purge, they were going to pay them because, you know, he's going to die from cancer. So he's like, okay, well, I'll just sacrifice myself, and that way you guys can at least have money or whatever. It was kind of sad and kind of fucked up, you know, how they did that, and they showed the scene where he's just sitting there, and they're all waiting for the purge, and I'm just like, wow, this is brutal. Then the whole story goes is that, you know, it's later on in the future. It doesn't take place as the same timeline as the first film. This one, I think, takes place a little bit after, around 2023. So it's way later in the first film. And at this point, the purge is kind of going down. A lot of people aren't trying to purge as much. They got it out of their system. But the government, being run by the new founding fathers of America, they said, no, we want this purge to still continue. We want to still be able to have a grasp on everybody. We still want to be able to control population, which is, you know, this is where they started getting more political with this, you know? So, while you have your normal people that are purging, not as much, the government in this movie, they were sending out mercenaries to go and kill people. And you don't find this out until the end of it, right? So the whole movie comes where everybody that's doing their own separate storylines, they come together, then they're trying to escape from the purge. Little by little, they each get taken out, except the last 3. The main guy who wanted to purge, he was a cop. And he wanted to go and purge on this guy because I guess something had happened with his son, you know. I apologize in advance. I've seen all these movies like 4 or 5 times this whole week. So a lot of them, part 3 through 4, they're kind of, they mix in a little bit. So if I fuck up, let me know, as always, in the comments. But anyways, he decides that he's going to go and purge this guy. And then afterwards he was like, no, I can't do it. So he basically dropped out of it because of his morale. He goes out, and then he gets shot by this guy named Big Daddy, and Big Daddy's basically admitted the truth. Well, hey, we're going to still continue the purge. The government wanted me and the mercenaries to come in and continue this purge thing because they want to keep it going. And before he was going to kill the sergeant, which is the old cop, what was his name? I can't remember. I wrote it all down, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. I paid a lot of attention to all the other parts of the series, right? But anyways, Big Daddy gets shot. End of the movie. Everyone's saved. The purge ends. They have the 7 sirens. All the mercenaries were there. And before they could do anything, it's just like, ooh, ooh. And then they had the intercom that said the end. End of the second one. Out of the whole series, the first 2 are my favorite. By far. Because you have, okay, what's going to happen? Like, the purge is going on outside, but you're trying to protect yourself on the inside. That made that one scary for me. The second one was pretty cool because they showed the whole city of what's going on. I think it was LA that they did it in. And then part 3 basically was similar to part 2, except with this one, they waited a few years until it came out. Part 3, they waited until the whole big recent election with, we all know about this election of 2016. I'm not going to get into it. But we know it was kind of controversial, right? So they waited a whole year until 2016. And when they released this one, it's basically the same plot line as part 2. And James DeMonico, he wrote this whole story, 1, 2, and 3, and directed them. So part 3 basically follows everything from part 2 with a little twist. The beginning starts off where this woman, she sees her whole family are getting tortured and they all get killed off by people purging, right? And then it ends, and then eventually she becomes a senator, and then she becomes so famous as a senator, she starts running for office as the president. And at this point, she's basically saying, okay, if you vote me for president, then we're going to go ahead and get rid of the purge. No more purge. Well, that didn't sit well to the other high-ups who basically still run America, and they got pissed, and they said, okay, well, if she wants to be like that, we can't have her win because then she's going to take out the purge. We still control everything. So they changed up the purge where everything is still legal, except now in this one, you can kill government officials. Which is a cool little twist, okay. And so this whole movie follows that she's, all these purgers are trying to go after her, plus these mercenaries. And the mercenaries are the ones that work for the new founding fathers of America, the people that are running, or the political party that's running America. And then you see the cop from part 2, he returns, and basically he offers to protect her. And while this is going on, then there's a bunch of other subplots going on in this one. You have like a store owner who, he runs a local store, and then he gets screwed like the day of the purge where they said, okay, well, your store insurance is going to go up, and if you can't pay it, then tough shit, So they play into that whole subplot with it. He kicks out these girls for trying to steal candy or whatever. And then he says, you know what, fuck this purge. I'm going to go ahead and protect it myself. Well, that's going on. Then all of a sudden the girls come back, and they call them the Candy Girls. They come in their car blasting freaking Miley Cyrus, waving AKs and shit. And they call them the Candy Girls because they said they were going to come in and get candy. And the whole movie kind of plays out on that storyline, plus the cop trying to protect the senator. Then basically, they get out of the store, or what was it? The cop and the senator, they get somehow mixed into the store. Then they break out of the store as the Candy Girls come in. They kill the Candy Girls, and then little by little they start trailing off, and then the purge ends. And then the ending of this film was basically, he protected the senator, and the guy, the store owner in this film, he basically sacrifices himself so the senator doesn't get killed, and tells everyone, hey, look over my store. Just continue it going. So it had a happy ending to it, but it was kind of like very dark happy ending, But it was really good. It just, for me, I was just like, okay. you have the similar same plot as the second one, but then in part 3 you just tied in a little bit more political stuff because of what was going on at the time. Obviously, the big election of 2016, you know, where it was, you know, Trump versus Clinton, and you know, they played a lot on this film with that. I mean, and then all of a sudden, what they started doing with the Purge, I think it was after this, no, yeah, the third one. The third one was the first one that did it. They started releasing it for the July weekend, because part 2, I think they released it around mid-July. It was around my birthday, so that's how I remember, you know. But for part 3, and then the most recent one that came out this year in 2018, they did it for the July weekend, and then they tied in a little bit more political stuff, which works out good as long as you know what you're doing with it. American Horror Story, I think, did okay with it with their last TV series, but this is about the Purge, you know. My point being is that they went more political with part 3, and part 3, little by little, out of this whole franchise, from the first film to the second film, the third film, and now even the fourth film that we're going to talk about, they all made double the money of their budget. You know, like 2.7 was for the first one, and then they smashed it out of the park, so they gave them 10 million, and then they smashed part 2 out of the park, and then they started doing it bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So after you did this whole storyline with everything, because part 3, remembers, part 3 didn't take place the same time as Purge Anarchy. It takes place, because Purge Anarchy take place in 2023, so roughly about 17 years in 2040, that's when part 3 takes place. And then we jump into part 4, right? So part 4, what's crazy about part 4 is that they call it the first Purge. And this is the only one that I think, yeah, this one was not directed by James DeMonico, but he wrote the whole story. And this whole movie, because obviously once you do a 1, 2, 3 trilogy and you do it great, how can you go back on it, right? Well, the new trend right now in 2018 is fucking prequels. Some are good, don't get me wrong, but I was just like, okay, you can't have a prequel, but, you know, that's why I'm not in Hollywood, right? But anyways, so now the first Purge came out this year, 2018, and this whole movie was basically a prequel to the first one. So it talks about how America's in chaos, and then, you know, the two-party government system was thrown out, and this new government party called the New Founding Fathers of America, they are taking over, and, you know, they take over. And when they take over, they said, okay, we're going to experiment, and we're going to, you know, see how this plays out. And they basically talk about this experiment, and this experiment is called the Purge, right? So the Purge is not all around nationwide. The Purge was taking place in Staten Island, right? And so in order to get people to agree to this, they basically said, okay, anybody in the Staten Island area, if you survive the 12 hours, or if you stay, well, they didn't say survive, because they didn't say what it was. They basically said, if you stay there within 12 hours, we'll pay you $5,000 for every person that stays, right? So some people left, some people didn't, and basically what the New Founding Fathers of America wanted to do was test this out. And they tested it out by sending their own people in. And this was more, I guess you could say, more of gangster horror, you know? I know I said that before in my gangster horror episode, but this film, the whole Purge series, is actually more of a gangster horror film, more than anything, because you have groups of one people going after groups of other people, or this group of people are going after this guy, and mercenaries from the government are going after, you know, it's very gangster-like. To me it is. I don't know what you guys think, but let me know in the comments below if you think it's more of a gangster horror film, more a new age modern gangster horror film, or a new modern horror film, I should say, right? But anyways, back to this movie. So everything's going on, and people are purging, some people aren't purging. People are like, okay, I don't want to start this. And the government just basically sends in mercenaries, and they just start spraying people and taking them all out. And that's what this whole thing was about, is that the government was trying to push for it, the New Founding Fathers of America. They basically were said, okay, we're going to come over here, we're going to do this experiment, we're going to bullshit these people, and we're going to come back and, you know, make it look like it's a success, but we're basically pushing it, you know what I mean? And that's what they were doing. And this whole movie goes back and forth between one gang versus another gang and all that, and, you know, It was okay for me when I saw it in theaters. I was just similar to The Election. For me, it is. I don't know what you guys think. If you love The Purge, I get it. You know, I'm a big Saw fan. People talk shit about that, but you know, I'm still gonna be a fan, and I get that. I'm not knocking on it, you know. But for me, it followed that same similar footstep, right? So while this whole movie went through and everything, well, there wasn't really a happy ending because basically the few main characters survived, and then at the end of the movie they said, oh, this was a success, and maybe a couple years down the road we'll see if we can get this nationwide, right? And that was it for the first Purge, for part 4. I don't know if they're going to continue the series. I don't know how you can continue the series. Maybe if you tie in a little bit more of the Ethan Hawke character, what he did before, like after this prequel, or, I mean, I don't know how much more you can get into this. I mean, you got 4 films. 1 was really different. 2 really kind of opened the doors. And 3 and 4 were very similar, but they were just marketing off of what was going on in American culture right now, you know? And that's what I thought. But then all of a sudden the news came out that they're doing a Purge TV show, right? How the hell can you do a TV show off this shit? Well, anyways, the USA Network here in America, it's kind of funny, on the USA Network, right? I know. The USA Network, they're doing a special 10-part episode, only 1 season, of the Purge TV series. And from all the research that I've been doing, they got a lot of, not big name actors, but they got a lot of people involved in this, and they're kind of basically doing it more on the Walking Dead-ish style. So it's going to follow a group of people. Well, I think the first episode, because it hasn't been released yet. It's not released until September. I think around Labor Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, you know. Labor Day weekend of 2018, in case you've seen this video. But anyways, the whole story, the whole premise is basically, here's a group of these people, here's their lives going on, and all of a sudden, Purge kicks off. What's going to happen with all these people, you know? Will some survive? Will some die? Will some begin to purge? Will they meet up and, you know, try to survive? And there's a lot of rumors. They haven't given out too much of the premise of the whole story. Some of the trailers, some of the sneak peeks that they showed on, you know, the USA Network, they're actually pretty good. It just, for me, it seems very similar to Walking Dead, where I think they're going to build up the episode, and then at the end, they leave you at a cliffhanger. You know, they're going to do that all the way for every episode, for 10 episodes, and I think each episode is supposed to be about an hour, maybe 2 hours long, I'm not sure. They haven't really guesstimated or announced it as of right now. But, I mean, it's pretty cool, like, how they're going to do it. That's my question to it, is like, okay, is it going to be in the same Purge? Or is it going to be, like, 10 different Purges? Or is it going to be 2 different Purges broken up between, like, 5 episodes? Like, this is a Purge, what happened last year. This is the current Purge that's happening right now. I don't know. But from the looks that I got off of it, it's very Walking Dead-ish, you know? But, I mean, that's my take on it. But you know what I loved about this whole franchise of The Purge is just the fact that it was very different. It was a fresh, modern take on horror movies, you know? Kind of like what, I guess, I use Saw and everything, you know? When Saw came out, there was a bunch of trends and everybody trying to follow it, right? Same thing with The Purge. When The Purge came out, then all of a sudden there was these other trends. You know, like I said before, they basically remade the first Purge in a movie called Don't Breathe, right? And that was great for what it is, because in a home invasion-ish kind of movie, you build up anxiety, you build up all that. Part 2 was great because they showed chaos and everything, you know. Part 3 and 4, you kind of knew that it was going to be chaos in the town and follow the same premises and stuff like that. But what I want to know is, I love the fact that Purge is geared towards horror fans. But when I think of The Purge, I think of it like Grand Theft Auto, the video game. I mean, shit, everything's legal for 12 hours. Why the fuck was no one, like, you know, tagging up? No one was vandalizing. Everybody all wanted to kill each other. I didn't understand that. I was just like, okay, this is pretty cool that you have it geared towards horror, and they're trying to, like, go after people and kill people and stuff like that. But, you know, if you mentally think about it, if you want to, depends on who you're catering to, who's your market, you know? if you want to cater it to a normal horror fan, obviously you're going to have to include all that scary stuff with it, right? But if you're talking about no laws for 12 hours, I don't think any of the films had showed someone trying to rob a bank, somebody trying to steal cars, you know, like the normal stuff. Like, if The Purge was real, I mean, come on now. You know, there'd be more of that shit happening than people going after other people. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my take on it. I kind of laugh at it because I'm just like, okay, this is kind of cool. I mean, I love the first two films, don't get me wrong. Part 3 and 4, the more recent one, was okay. The TV series, I haven't seen it yet. I know they're supposed to be releasing it soon, so maybe I might do an episode on that one. We'll see. You know, I'll have to wait until the whole series is up, of course, you know, before I give you my full take. But, you know, I thought it was pretty cool about how they did that. Another thing is, like I said before, is the political intake on it. The political side, it could be scary as fuck, especially with, you know, 2016 to now, 2018. All the stuff going on in political government. Everybody, they have this fear with, you know, the two-party system, or, I'm not going to mention any names. I've already mentioned them before. I'm not trying to get all political, but the fact that they play on political stuff for horror, it opens the doors for new ideas, you know what I mean? For horror fans. Or for any genre, actually, you know. American Horror Story, they were basically, well, I can't say they were the first ones to do it, but they followed the footsteps after Purge 3, the election year, because it came around the same time, you know? And it was pretty cool how they did that, but they tied in other aspects of it. But, I mean, I don't know, for me, what do you guys think? I want to know in the comments below. Do you guys think that The Purge is just a trend? Because this film has only been out, you know, let's see, 5 years? And within a 5-year span, do you think that this Purge franchise is a trend? Do you think it will fade out? Or do you think it's going to open ideas for different ideas for movies later on? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my take on it. I'm anxious to hear you guys, what you think about it. For me, I don't think it's a trend. I think it opens the doors a little bit for different things. Like I said, Don't Breathe came out from it, you know. And what's funny is that they're the same production company, Blumhouse, that did it. So, kind of twofers, I guess. I don't know. But hope you all enjoyed this episode on The Purge. You came, you purged, and you survived. You survived episode 26. And I thank you for that. Thank you for joining me for that. And as I said, guys, once I'm done with everything, y'all know where it goes, right?
Bow down to the